Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to sort through mountains of information and pull out the knowledge you can actually use.
Glad to be here.
Today, we have a pretty big mission, actually. We're diving into something fundamental, the programs running our lives, the subconscious mind's software.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe more importantly, we want to explore how we might rewrite some of that code.
It's such a critical idea.
Yeah.
Because really, we need programs to function. Think about it like computers.
Okay.
Our minds have this incredible hardware, the brain, right? But just like a computer, it needs an operating system. It needs apps, software to actually navigate the world, even though, of course, the brain is way more complex than any computer we've built.
Right, like when you get a new phone or computer, it turns on, does some basic stuff.
Sure.
But you have to download the apps you want, customize the settings, install updates. That's what makes it really work for you.
Exactly that. We arrive with this amazing hardware, but it's pretty much a clean slate software-wise. Mm-hmm. We need this huge library of programs installed.
And that takes us right into how that installation happens, especially early on.
Yeah, the early years are key.
It's kind of wild to think about that early installation. You look at a baby and you assume some things are just automatic, instinctual.
Mm-hmm.
But the sources we looked at really highlight that even really basic things need to be programmed in.
That's absolutely spot on. I mean, take something essential for survival, like breastfeeding.
Okay.
You actually have to teach a baby how to latch properly. It's not fully automatic. It's a learned behavior. It's like the very first app getting installed.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. And then it just builds from there.
Right. Think about learning to blow a kiss or even pointing. Pointing. How so?
Well, think about teaching a tiny human that's sticking out one finger that directs your attention, this giant person's focus, to something specific over there.
Huh. Yeah, that's a program.
It is. We install millions of these, some on purpose, some just by accident, through observation. They cover everything from moving our bodies to how we react emotional. And this big installation push happens mostly between 0 and 7 years old.
That's the critical window, yes.
Yeah.
0 to 7. That's when a child's brain is basically operating in a state called theta.
Theta state. Okay, I've heard that term. What does that mean for programmability?
Well, what's really interesting is that the theta brainwave state is very similar to deep meditation or even hypnosis.
Hypnosis, right?
Yeah. And crucially, in that state, the child hasn't really developed their critical filter yet.
The critical filter, like a mental editor.
Exactly, like a bouncer for your mind. As adults, if someone tells us something outlandish, our filter kind of flags it, questions it, maybe rejects it.
Right.
A young child doesn't have that strong filter yet, so information tends to go straight in.
Straight to the hard drive, no questions asked.
Pretty much. The brain is just wide open, highly programmable, and the programs being installed, they come from what parents directly teach. Say, please, be careful.
Yeah, the explicit lessons.
But just as much, maybe even more, from what kids see their parents doing. How does mom handle stress? How does dad react when he's frustrated?
So it's observation, too.
Huge amounts of it.
Yeah.
Those observed behaviors become these deeply embedded programs that can dictate automatic reactions decades later.
Which means, okay, for you listening, it's important to realize that these millions of programs downloaded, mostly without you even noticing in those first 7 years,
Right.
they're forming the foundation for like 95% of your automatic thoughts and behaviors today.
It's a massive realization. It can feel a bit daunting, but also really empowering once you grasp it.
Okay, so that's the installation. Now let's talk about the system itself. How does the mind actually run these programs? Let's break down the conscious versus the subconscious mind. What are the key differences?
Right, so think about the division of labor in your brain. First, you've got the conscious mind. It's mainly associated with the prefrontal cortex right behind your forehead. This is your creative mind. It handles willpower, making decisions, setting goals, figuring things out.
Yeah.
It's like the CEO directing things.
Sounds important.
It is. But here's the kicker. It only accounts for about 5% of your brain's total processing power, maybe even less. And it can really only focus on one, maybe two things at a time effectively.
Wow, only 5%. That feels tiny for all the things we want to do consciously.
It is.
Yeah.
Now compare that to the subconscious mind. This is the powerhouse. It's estimated to be around 95% of your brain's operating capacity.
95%, okay.
And this is where all your habits live. All your memories, skills, learned behaviors, basically all of those programs we talked about, it runs almost entirely on autopilot.
Autopilot, okay, yeah, the classic example is driving, right?
Exactly. You drive home from work, maybe it's a 45-minute commute.
Yeah.
You pull into the driveway and suddenly realize You have zero memory of the actual drive, braking, turning, signals.
Yeah, I've totally done that. My mind was somewhere else.
Right. Your conscious 5% was busy, maybe thinking about a work problem, planning dinner, worrying about something. The 95% subconscious just took the wheel and ran the driving home program.
So why does the brain do that? Why create this autopilot?
It boils down to energy conservation. That's the primary driver.
Energy. Okay, that came up in the sources. Why is the brain so focused on saving energy?
Because it's incredibly energy hungry.
Mm.
Your brain is only about, what, 2% of your body weight?
Something like that, yeah?
But it uses around 20% of your body's total energy. Conscious thought, that focused 5% attention, takes a lot of metabolic energy.
Okay, gotcha.
So, to be efficient, the brain turns frequent actions and thoughts into habits, into programs stored in the subconscious. It automates them to save battery life, essentially.
But wait a second. You're saying 95% of my day, my thinking, is basically autopilot. That seems high. How can I even notice that?
Well, think about all the tiny choices you don't make consciously. Which foot do you step with first when you walk? How exactly do you tie your shoes? Do you brush your teeth before or after showering?
Yeah, I don't think about those things at all.
Exactly. Those are all programs running. The subconscious handles the routine stuff, the known quantities, freeing up that precious, energy-intensive 5% conscious mind to deal with new things, unexpected challenges, creative thoughts.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's where I get a bit stuck, maybe push back a little. If the 95% is all about efficiency and saving energy, why does it run programs that seem really inefficient, like I'm not good enough or I don't deserve success? That seems self-sabotaging, not efficient.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the key is understanding the subconscious is powerful, but it's not rational in the way the conscious mind is.
Okay.
It doesn't judge whether a program is good or bad, helpful or harmful. Its main directive seems to be consistency, running the code it was given.
Consistency over quality.
Essentially, yes. If during those early theta years the program installed was something like getting too much attention is dangerous or trying hard leads to feeling stupid, then the subconscious will keep running that program automatically, even if your adult 5% consciously wants attention or success. Its idea of efficiency is maintaining the familiar pattern, the status quo, because on some deep level that pattern feels like survival, even if it leads to unhappiness.
Okay, so it prioritizes survival or what it thinks is survival based on old data over conscious desires like happiness or success.
Precisely. So self-sabotage isn't malicious. It's usually a conflict.
Yeah.
Your 5% conscious mind saying, I want this promotion, while your 95% subconscious is running an old program whispering, you're not really management material, or success brings new problems.
And these programs are sneaky because they feel like truth, not like old ideas, but like fundamental laws of how things are.
Exactly. They're stored in what psychologists call implicit memory.
Implicit memory.
Yeah, it's different from explicit memory, which is like remembering facts or events you can talk about. Implicit memory is more like knowing how to do something, shown through behavior. Riding a bike is implicit. Your emotional reactions are often implicit.
So these limiting beliefs, money is hard to come by, I'm not lovable, kids should be seen and not heard, they feel baked in.
Totally baked in. They feel like the foundation of reality, not just thoughts you learned, which is why they're so hard to spot sometimes.
It reminds me of that analogy, the fish in the water.
That's the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Two young fish swim by an older fish who asks, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" The two young fish swim on, and then one turns to the other and asks, "What the heck is water?"
Right, because it's all they've ever known. It's just there.
Exactly. You're swimming in these programs, these beliefs, often since early childhood. You don't realize you're immersed in them. You just assume this is how life is.
So the first step is just realizing you're in water, identifying it. And then the bigger task, change. The sources suggest changing these deep programs is, potentially a lifelong process. But the actual shift in perspective, the beginning of change, can happen quite fast if we bring our full conscious awareness to it.
That's the hope, yes. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door.
So let's get practical. The sources lay out roughly a 5-step sequence for starting this reprogramming. What's step 1?
Step 1 is probably the hardest, but the most crucial. Self-observation. You have to cultivate the ability to watch yourself, almost like you're an objective third party.
Like putting a mirror up to your own behavior and thoughts.
Exactly. Look for patterns. Notice your automatic reactions. Pay attention to what triggers you emotionally.
Okay, but how do you do that in the moment? It feels hard to catch the autopilot when it's running.
Start by tracking your emotional spikes. What happens physically and mentally when someone criticizes you? Or when you face a big challenge, do you freeze up, get defensive, feel that familiar knot of anxiety?
Okay, notice the reaction. Then what?
Then try to trace it back. Ask yourself, where did I learn this response? When have I felt this exact way before? Often that feeling may be shame or feeling stupid. You can link it back to a childhood experience.
Like maybe getting a math problem wrong in class and feeling embarrassed.
Yes. And now, decades later, any situation that feels like intellectual challenge triggers that same "I'm stupid" program and the associated shame, even if it's totally unrelated.
So those triggering moments are like signposts pointing to where an old program is stuck on repeat.
They are vital clues. They show you where you're reacting based on the past, not the present reality. That leads directly into step 2. Identify the specific limiting beliefs.
Okay.
Look at the areas in your life where you consistently struggle or feel blocked. Is it relationships, your career path, money, your health? Where does the needle always seem to get stuck?
And the core feeling underneath, it often comes down to some version of "I'm not enough," right? That seems to be the bedrock belief.
That's very often the root, yes. But it comes in many different flavors, as some sources put it.
Flavors.
Like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not capable of handling success, I don't deserve to be happy. You need to pinpoint your specific flavor or flavors, because that belief is likely the primary thing holding you back.
Okay, so observe the patterns, identify the core limiting belief, the flavor. What's next? Now we intervene.
Now you start the active work. Step 3 is to question the validity of that belief. You have to actively debate it.
Debate yourself.
Yes. Think about it. You've likely spent years, maybe decades, automatically accepting that belief as true. I'm unlovable, and your mind finds evidence to support it. Now, you need to use that conscious 5% your rational mind to argue the other side.
So literally sit down and make a case for yourself.
Exactly. If the belief is "I'm not capable," write down all the reasons why you are capable. List your past successes, your skills, your strengths. Force your mind to acknowledge evidence that contradicts the old program. Recognize this deeply ingrained thought. It's not a fact. It's an old recording.
That sounds challenging, like arguing with a very stubborn part of yourself.
It is, especially at first. You're pushing against years of momentum. But it's critical to realize most of these repetitive negative thoughts are just echoes, not objective reality.
Okay, questioning the belief. Then step 4 logically follows. Reframe the negative thoughts. This is where things like cognitive restructuring come in.
Precisely. If a belief is just a thought you've practiced thinking over and over, well, you need to start practicing a different thought. You challenge the old, disempowering thought and intentionally replace it with a new, empowering one. You start playing a different song in your head.
This sounds like affirmations. Is that what we're talking about?
Affirmations are a key tool here, yes, but they have to be used with intention. The goal is, essentially, to consciously brainwash yourself in a positive direction.
Brainwash yourself. That sounds intense.
Well, think about it. We were often unconsciously brainwashed by our environment early on. Now you're taking conscious control of the input. If the old program is "I always mess things up," you need to repeatedly install the opposite. "I learn from challenges," or "I am capable and resourceful."
So it's about repetition, volume, creating new mental pathways.
Absolutely. The subconscious learns through repetition. You're overriding the old code by consistently running the new code, the empowering thought, until that becomes the default.
Got it. Observe, identify, question, reframe. What's the final step? Step 5.
Step 5 is about integration and forward momentum. Set clear intentions and visualize.
Intentions and visualization. How does that work with reprogramming?
First, you need to define clearly what you do want. What does the new you running the new programs look like, feel like, act like? Get specific about your goals: feeling worthy, having a loving relationship, achieving a certain level of success.
Okay, define the desired outcome.
Then visualize it. Regularly imagine yourself already having achieved that goal. Feel the feelings associated with it. See yourself living that reality.
Why is visualization so powerful here?
Because, interestingly, the subconscious mind doesn't seem to distinguish clearly between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Yeah. So when you consistently visualize your desired outcome with emotion, you're essentially feeding the subconscious proof that this new reality is possible, even that it's already happening. It helps align the powerful 95% with your conscious 5% intentions.
So you're kind of tricking the subconscious into accepting the new program by making it feel real.
You could say that.
Right.
You're making the future desired state feel familiar and safe to the subconscious, making it more likely to steer you in that direction automatically.
Okay, stepping back then. This whole 5-step process, observation, identification, questioning, reframing, visualizing the ultimate goal, is, as you said, to intentionally brainwash ourselves, but in a positive, chosen direction.
That's a good way to put it. Given that we've all been shaped or brainwashed to some extent by our past experiences and environments,
Right.
this is about taking the reins and deciding what programming you want to run going forward.
It's quite a thought. If you're, say, 35 or 40 now, and you might live another 40, 50, 60 years.
Exactly. The big question becomes, how do you want to intentionally shape your mind, your programming, from this point on? Who do you want to become? You have the power to install new software.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to really chew on today. Realize that the programming running your life right now is probably so pervasive, so encompassing, you might not even know you're swimming in that water. The challenge, the lifelong pursuit, really, starts with putting that mirror up. Start observing today. Because until you see the programs, until you identify them, that incredibly powerful 95% autopilot, it's likely going to keep steering the ship, potentially holding you back, even if your conscious mind desperately wants to go somewhere else.